want to say thank you first to the Dorchester Center for the Arts for including the Dorchester Garden Club in this wonderful exhibit, and also the Eastern Shore Hospital Center patients who have done bowls and chargers to match or interpret or pair with the floral designs, as well as Petra's beautiful paintings and photographs. And just to make it right, I'm the chair of the design committee, not the president. But thank you. So what we did is there was a program at the Walters Art Gallery, and it was called Art Blooms at the Walters. And a friend of mine in Garden Club and I were chosen to participate, and we were the newbies in Garden Club. So what they gave us to interpretate was a piece of art at the museum, and it was a wall that was 20 foot by 25 foot, and it was a mosaic. And we had to do a 3-foot tall design interpreting that. So we had a big seashell, and that's all she wrote, but we really had fun with it. So we thought that it'd be nice if we could interpret some of Petra's pieces here. If you just want to go around to them, this number 2 is done by Beth Burton, and she went into Walmart and cut a little box that was there, painted it, and Petra said she especially likes this because the blue flowers in the back let the sky come into her actual painting. And this one right here is done by David Adams, and it is irises in Petra's actual piece. So we couldn't find irises in silk blooms. So we found the exact color and the yellow. And then there's a little blue iris in the actual piece, but we put dark blue green. So that was our interpretation. Then on number 10, we had a cascading flower that came down, and you can see the lines of the design is coming down and then going up a little bit. And that's Mari Stanley's. This one is the cover piece, and it's mine. Those are fatsia leaves, and I picked them fresh and just spray painted them green. And the blue is to represent, again, the sky coming through. In the window is another one. I don't think we can get up for that one, but it reminded me of Blackwater, and there were great colors. Petra put great colors with this. This is one of her geometric ones. Then we have this one again with the cascading red flower. And I don't know if you can come back here. That one was done by Mari Stanley. This one is Donna Dunlap, and Donna is one of our newest designers. Can you believe that she created that? And again, we have the sea glass in the back with the driftwood interpreting Saint Tropez is Petra's piece. This one right here is mine. And Petra had a painting that was a leaf with water on it. So I just got that stick. I've never met a stick I didn't like. I'm like the dog, and the dog picks up a great stick. Well, that was my interpretation. Then this one here is, and Petra especially likes this one too because of the color of the sky, as well as the brown leaves coming all together to make the design. And those are our designs. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, first of all, for having me here. It's a beautiful art space, newly renovated. It's open space. We have beautiful wall colors. So I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for having me, and thank you for hosting my show. So this is the beginning of the show. These are 2 oil paintings. In the fall last year, I did a lot of leaf paintings. And I would go for walks, and whenever I find a pretty leaf, I pick it up and I take it home and I take pictures with different color backgrounds, and I create interesting shapes of shades in the background. So I'm taking a leaf out of nature and I'm creating a space for it that is different, mine. So this is called Scarlet Heart and Lonesome. And in fact, they sold today, so that's always exciting. Yes, definitely. Yes, so I'm showing a variety of things. I'm showing oil paintings and photographs. And the photographs I'm showing are double exposure photographs. In this case, it's two of the same hibiscus. It's a hibiscus in my yard. And I take the picture and then I take a second picture slightly moved from the first flower. And what I love is it creates an effect of a veil, like a see-through, kind of a magical effect. And I do that also sometimes with painting and photography, which I have another piece in the show as well. This one's called Cinderella because it reminds me of a little tutu, like a dancer or a gown. The lightness of it is what fascinates me. Mhm. So it's the same image layered. The second one goes over the first one. So I take the first one first, I crop it the way I like it, and then I move with the second shot, I move the camera to a place where it looks interesting, where I'm creating kind of a new flower or a new type of reality.
Flanking both sides. And it's a mix of watercolors and acrylic oils and photos. Also like to bring into another realm, which it looks like it combines a multitude of them.
Yes, well said. It is a combination of a painting and a photograph on top of the painting. So the artwork is a photograph, but I used a painting as the first layer. The painting I used is called Into Another Realm. That's why I titled this artwork Into Another Realm. And it's a diptych, abstract piece, and I combined it with an iris. And I like how it turned out. It goes in and out of focus. Certain things are very sharp, while others are in the distance. And I love how you can, in the photo, still see the marks of the canvas, but then you can also see the clarity of the flower, but not everything's sharp everywhere. And it makes you figure it out, what you see, I hope.
Yeah, definitely. One of the ones in your work, interpretation is up to the viewer.
Yes. Exactly. And thank you, Katie, for suggesting the way we hung it. I love how the little abstract watercolor goes with this piece. So I'm really happy with the way we curated this. Thank you.
And as we continue through the gallery, realism,
Oh, the mic, thank you. So I live in the woods and I go for a lot of walks. And what fascinates me about that is the repetitive rhythm of the forest. That's what I tried to do in the two pastels. And this is a beech forest, a beech tree in Germany, where I'm from. There's a very old forest with hundreds of years old beech trees. And this is one of those scenes where you're kind of looking up and you see the tallness of how growing old, because they are old, and it kind of symbolizes a person too. I love this little corner with the trees and the forest.
as we travel down the hallway, as we travel down the hallway, we come upon this one, and this one has been a huge showstopper for a lot of our viewers. Yeah, and I'm curious if you would share some insight about this photograph.
Sure. Sure, I was actually supposed to, originally, a year ago, I was supposed to bring the original photo that I used to create this new work, mandala. It's a scene on the Waikomico River of water planes in the evening light. And the evening light has a beautiful bluish color. When the sun's low and the angle is just right, the water grass has this bright green color against the dark blue water. So the original photograph I was going to bring, I am showing somewhere else right now. And in the meantime, I created this from that image. And I thought it goes great on this wall as you come down here. It's not a double exposure, it's just a photograph that I had from the Waikomico River that I manipulated.
And I know one of our viewers reminded them of bumblebees, which I think is interesting because, like a lot of your work, the viewer relationship is so prominent. I didn't see the bumblebees, I saw the water, but I also am partial to your work and have knowledge of your subject matter. So I find that very interesting. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah.
So it's really interesting to hear other people.
And we're going to go ahead and continue down the hall. We're going to stop in front of these guys. There's so many works of the show. Can you tell me the time frame in which you painted or produced these?
Sure. So all the works in this show are done the last 2 years. I've had a very productive last year, obviously. Just last year alone, I painted 9 oil paintings of flowers and leaves. There's a few that I did 3 years old, but this is actually that.
And then as we approach the main gallery space, you will notice a transition into the use of colors. So on one wall, we have predominantly blue and green work, and on another wall, we have the predominantly red, greenish tones. And a lot of these works go one off of another and they build on each other. Which notably has 2 different wall types. One that is featuring the blue and greens in the work, and one that is featuring the greens and the pinks and the purples. As you can see, a lot of the work is repetitive and it kind of goes and ties into one another. One of the most notable pieces of that, in my opinion, is the rhythm in green. Can you tell us about this piece?
So rhythm and green is another double exposure photograph where I use a painting and a photograph. And the painting I used for this photograph is actually this painting. It's called Fluid Moment. I live on the Waikomico River and I spend a lot of time observing the tides and the reflections and the colors of the plants and the sky reflecting. So I painted this painting first. And then when I had the painting, I used the painting as the first layer for this photograph. I just flipped it horizontal. And then I overlaid it with a layer of water plants. And it created this new image that is reminiscent of water and water plants, but it's very abstract.
Mm.
So, and then I painted that one next, and this one was the last one. No, actually, this leaf was last year. All the other ones are done the year before.
Wonderful. And as we continue through, we arrive on these leaf paintings. I just want to point out, like, they're titled Carry Me Away to, Shadow Days, Fluid Movement, Rhythm and Green, Poolside. They're not always evocative of the subject matter. Could you explain your thought process in naming and if there's any kind of meaning behind that?
So all my titles are very personal. My artwork is very personal too. But the titles I base on what I feel at the time, or what I want to express at the time, or what song played at the time. When for example, the piece in the window, Dancing in the Dark, the double exposure hibiscus. I spent hours in my yard taking that picture, getting it just right, and I was bending down and had my headphones in and the hat on. It was hot, I was sweating, and the song Dancing in the Dark was playing when I finally got the right image. So that's my personal connection to that piece at the time. For those, Carry Me Away is because there's a movement involved. It's a series, they go together. So the first one, the leaf is off the surface. The shadow implies that it's not laying down flat. And it could be on its way out. It could be carried away from wherever I place it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one, Carry Me Away too, the leaf now moved. And the shadow has become longer, and it's become more of an abstract painting. And I want to paint a third one, Carry Me Away 3, where the leaf is totally out of the picture plane, and all you see is these colors. You can still identify it as part of the series, but there's no more green, just more thick, bold brush strokes of magenta and pink. And this one's called Resilience, just because the azalea is a very resilient plant.
Yes,
And after the winter, when the azaleas come out, you feel so fresh. You feel like this is spring. You feel like you're blooming like a flower. And I painted this when COVID started happening. And I saw a parallel between nature being so resilient, and we had to be resilient during that time to get through this time. And here we are a year later.
Yeah, here we are.
On our way out, hopefully.
Thank you. And
Thank
then
you.
we continue through the show and we end on this wonderful piece, Watching from Above. I really would like to encourage you all to stop in. These are pieces that are much more appreciated in person than opposed through video. You see a lot of the fine detail and use of color. So thank you all for watching.
Okay.